Hello, I'm Don Ward, Chief Executive of CIB, and welcome back to CIB in Conversation. A quick reminder that CIB is the global network for collaboration in research and innovation in the built environment. And welcome to everyone joining us. I hope you'll enjoy the conversation. For more information about what we do and how we add value for our global community, please go to our website, cibworld.org. In this series, what we're doing is meeting the personalities behind leaders in the world of built environment research and innovation. And today, I'm delighted to welcome Miimu Airaksinen, a leading board member of CIB and with a day job running the Finnish Association of Civil Engineers, known as RIL. So, hello Miimu.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. Please, let's start by introducing yourself. What's your current role and involvement in the construction and built environment sector?
Thank you. So I'm currently working as a CEO and managing director in RIL, which is the Finnish Association of Civil Engineers. And we are an association of persons, so we have over 6,000 members. And our members are working in all sectors of the construction. So part of our members are designers, construction engineers, they are building owners working for the facility management, and also a big part of our members are working in the research, or also part of them are municipalities. So it's really nice mixture of different actors in the built environment. And that's what I think it's really actually really nice also in the CIB community, that we have different perspectives how to improve the built environment. And that's actually our main goal also in the RIL, that we want to improve the built environment, both in the sustainability for the environmental perspective, but also for the people's perspective, that how we are creating the future built environment which creates well-being and sustainability.
So it's probably self-evident, but how would you describe the importance of research and innovation then in that world?
Yeah, I think research and innovations are really the key parts, and especially now when we are tackling the climate change and we want to mitigate the climate change, but we want to also adapt all the changes. So that's why I think that we need to make the new innovations in a way that we do it in a sustainable way, in a way that people get comfortable, and in a way that it's also economic, kind of like viable solutions. So we need research, the background, the backbone for the future, and also the innovations together with the industry, that we are really creating a viable solution. So I think that's really the core in our world.
Well, we'll talk a bit more about that research innovation, and certainly about climate change impacts as well. But before we get to that, let's hear a little bit more about your background and career. How did you get started? I mean, what got you into construction and built environment?
Right, so it's probably, my dad is also engineer in the construction sector, so it's probably kind of like, and my brother also, so it's maybe in our family. Yes. But I mean, I started my career in the actually construction the shipyards and ventilation in those. And after that, so I went to construction sector and researching specialty houses, and the moisture problem was an issue at that time. In my early career, and I was in the engineering company called Optiplan. And then actually I get interested about VTT, and I joined VTT, and I was there over 10 years researching first the buildings and then the cities and smart cities, and that was really interesting, as VTT is also a member of CIB, so I get to know CIB already at that time.
Right. Yes.
And after my career in VTT, so I joined RIL, and I'm still involved a lot in CIB movements.
So how did you make the jump across, if I might call it that, from VTT, from very much a research institute, to RIL, which is a professional association? What attracted you to that move?
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, I think it's quite natural path, because I mean, VTT is focused quite a lot about research and innovation and working together with the industries, and also like VTT and RIL are cooperating in some events in Finland. So in that way, it's kind of like natural connection. And then I thought, well, I mean, this is really really nice opportunity to have a little different perspective in the built environment. So I think that was really natural research, kind of like step from research to the association world.
It's really very striking how many of our guests in this series have started in one area, but maybe in academia or in government policy, and moved perhaps into industry or from industry into academia. So it's you're the first person who's moved from industry research to professional body side that we've interviewed so far. So it's fascinating people's different backgrounds, thinking back to that time with VTT, can you think of a highlight in terms of your work, whether it was the subject that you were researching or the nature of the work that you were doing? Give us a highlight from your early career.
Yeah, I think, there's many highlights, I think, because research is kind of like everything you get something new. But I think kind of like most of the highlights are really that how we were developing the concept of zero energy buildings and then further developing to the smart cities. So I think that was really kind of like the fascinating that, and we were developing kind of like the tools that how you're measuring that the city is smart, kind of like giving key performance indicators and guiding the cities towards smart solutions. So that was, I think, one of the greatest highlights. And of course, there's many other highlights in the journey, because it's innovating always something new. So as VTT is saying today, that miracles often begins on Mondays. So it's really kind of like that. It's always something going on.
It's and of course it is such a huge field, isn't it? And as you've already described, climate change is so fundamental and raises so many fundamental challenges to where we don't have the answers yet. We'll talk about it just in one second, but one of the final thoughts were, as you know, a lot of our participants in CIB, potentially a lot of people watching this chat, are either students, PhD students at university, or they're early career researchers. So do you have any tips or advice when you look back on your own career, when you were one of them, as it were? Any tips or advice that you'd pass on?
Yeah, I think it's really, especially in the research world, and also I think in the industry world, it's really nice to get the perspective, so international contacts. And this is why I think CIB, at least for me personally, so it was really nice that with the CIB task groups and working groups, so you get to know the people from kind of like other countries, what research they are doing, what innovations they are carrying on, what thoughts they have. And that really gives you the inspiration and focus and also kind of like new perspectives that, this is the way you can also think about the solutions for the future. So I think that's really one of the fundamental values what CIB has, that you get to know the new colleagues and also like younger colleagues, but also like the rock stars for the field. So it's really that you got all the contacts. So that's wonderful, I think.
I never forget when I was an early career researcher meeting the name of the person who'd written the main paper in my field of expertise. To meet that person firsthand was very impressive and very motivating. To realize that human beings, lovely to have a chat, and I'm glad to hear you have a similar sort of view of the importance of meeting the rock stars of our world. That's a phrase I'll use again, Miimu, with due attribution. Let's come on to your specialist area then, and the importance of research innovation in this field, called climate change. Why is this area so important to wider CIB members and to our membership, and but to the wider world? I'm asking that question. I asked that question about quite technical subjects where sometimes it's not obvious. In this case, I recognise climate change affects every single aspect of our life. But talk to us a little bit more about the importance, and particularly perhaps what the issues are in Finland.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is actually many important aspects, and I think especially because I mean if we think about Finnish perspective, and this is true in many other countries. So if we think about our national wealth and where our money is actually in Finland, so 83% of our national wealth is in the buildings and infrastructure. So it's really crucial that what we are doing for those infrastructures, how we are renewing our infrastructure, how we are renewing our building stock, and what kind of like buildings we are building for the future. So that is kind of like extremely important that we understand that how climate change is changing the conditions, the environmental stress, and all that, that what kind of like solutions we should create for the future in a way that our buildings and the roads, what we are constructing, that they are still there and sustainably built after 10 or 50 or 100 years. So this is kind of like crucial that we are using the right materials. We are using the new solutions for example, in the concrete, that we are developing the low carbon concrete, that we are using the side streams for other industries to make the concrete more sustainable. All that type of solutions, what we are needing. And also like the energy solutions, I mean, what we are using in the cities, that's also crucial. So that's the kind of like what is the future solutions, how we are using the wind energy, how we're integrating wind energy in our cities, and solar panels and all that. So that's really important. And then it's also like when we think about really the bigger impact, so it's also that our industry is actually, I mean, responsible quite a lot about employment. So in Finland, it's 20% of the employment rate. It's about what we are doing in this sector. So it has an impact on that side as well to our sector. And then of course, when we think about investments, so in Finland, we are 60% of the investments are done in our sector, so in the built environment. So it's really so much money that we should spend the money in a most kind of like best way. And based actually because we are employing so many people, so it's actually that when we are investing €1 to our sector, so to build environment, so it pays back by 2 times because we get more employment, we get better roads, we don't get any delays in our logistic, we don't get any sick leaves or something like that, because our buildings are functioning in a good way. It's healthy for the people, all that. So it's actually a really good investment to invest in built environment.
So the quality of built environment enables the rest of the economy to be productive and to function well, and improves the quality of everyone's life. Do you think that message gets across to politicians and the people who hold the purse strings?
It's going there. It's going there, but I mean, it's still. I mean, we are actually now we have the elections in Finland coming in June, and we are actually now giving the information for all the politicians and decision makers that this is why we should really invest on built environment, because it has so big impact. And it's getting there. I mean, we have done this many years, this kind of like state of the nation, what many countries are also doing, that giving the information for the decision makers and politicians. And it's getting there, but of course, I mean, many things are also changing, so we need to get repeating also the new things for the decision makers.
I'm interested just to explore one or two of the themes you raised, because you were very clever in raising issues around economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. You know, all 3 legs of the stool, as it were. Start with you talked about low carbon. Where's the generation mix at in Finland in terms of carbon emissions? You know, how's your electricity generated, and how big, therefore, is the decarbonisation challenge for you?
Yeah, so our, especially in our electricity, so electricity, the decarbonization has gone quite quickly. So it's in that sense, it's kind of like in good path. Yes. But heating is also an issue in Finland. So we have quite a lot old power plants which are going for there, but I mean they are still quite carbon intensive. So we have kind of like that, how we are making the transformation in a way that in the existing infrastructure we can do it in a viable way. So there is many good initiatives there, and it's we have set the goals. Many cities in Finland have set the goals that they want to be carbon neutral by 2030. So it's kind of like that there is a deadline when we want to do, so the actions are coming there. But there is still, of course, I mean, a lot of innovations we need to do, and we need to understand that how we integrate the buildings in that decarbonization, that how buildings actually can act as a sources of energy or as a virtual power plants for energy as well. So this is kind of like, especially for our sector, really a fascinating field for innovations and new solutions.
Yes, it's a rich field for young and experienced engineers alike, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you mentioned the 2030 target. Is that a recent commitment by the government?
Yes, it's actually by the cities, and so many kind of like many of our cities have already committed to that commitment. So it's quite recently, kind of like a few years ago, cities have set them this target.
And does the public support that? I mean, is there optimism that the target will be met, and does the public support it? Do the politicians get behind it as well?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do, and there is a big optimism that they are really kind of like reaching and trying to reach the goal. So it's not only kind of like speak, but really that they are doing the actions. All the biggest cities, they have already roadmaps that what are the steps they are doing in order to reach the goal. So I'm really positive for reaching the target.
And do you think that sort of incentive, as it were, or that target and that positive drive towards it boosts those people working in the research and innovation sector?
Yes, it will. And actually quite all the cities, they are working with the research institutes and with the universities. So that's really nice. And of course the companies are involved. So it's really nice that they are really thinking about the kind of like that, how city is actually the platform for the new innovations, where then the researchers are working, industry is working there. And also actually most importantly, so they are engaging also the citizens, that how citizens can then think about the new solutions, what they have also wonderful ideas about kind of like how you are tuning the area in their living conditions and all that. So it's really nice to see that their local innovations, really, that how to improve the local area also in a way that improves the carbon neutrality as well.
It sounds like you have a very positive alignment of driver, target, and then support and funding that to create a very healthy sector in terms of research and innovation. So we shall watch how Finland develops in that sense, and look for your leadership at a global level to become even more evident, I think. Are there any particular projects that RIL is leading, or that you'd like to quickly talk about?
Yeah, we are now in two different EU projects where we are together with VTT actually, and with some companies. And one is about smart cities, so how we are decarbonizing, and the city in Finland is Espoo, so close to Helsinki. So how we are decarbonizing Espoo in a way that it's also not only decarbonizing Espoo, but also that making the citizens living kind of like easier to healthier and kind of like nicer living in Espoo as well. So that's one of our projects. And then another one where we are part is kind of like that, how then kind of like skills and knowledge and education is actually improving the quality in the project. And especially now we are focusing on the energy efficiency. So how we as a real, for example, because we have educations and courses, so how we can enable to improve the skills in the field, and how that is actually leading to better impact on the projects, better results in the project. So that will be also interesting, that how we can really have the evidence on that.
Yes, and yeah, I think you mentioned employment a little earlier as well. I mean, do you find it easy to attract people into the field of construction and built environment and engineering in Finland? Is it a attractive career for people?
Well, I mean, unfortunately now, I mean, we have lack of people in our field. So currently, kind of like people are getting older and retiring, and we don't get in enough people to study the construction sector and design, and also that when they're graduating, that they are really staying in the field. So that is an issue in Finland, and we are trying to kind of like now to find the ways, and we are also, that's why we are working also with the high schools. We are giving the kind of like for the teachers some courses and material for the courses to show that what kind of like different ideas and different fields you can study in our built environment field. So we try to influence on that part as well. But I mean that's really what we are trying to tackle now.
And what sort of things do attract people? I mean, when you're successful, what are the messages? What are the areas of work, or what are the challenges that people have said, yeah, I really want to do that, or perhaps it's the other problem. Perhaps the problem is barriers. You know, reasons why people don't want to join the sector. Any learnings there?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. In the news, it's quite often when we see the construction sector called it the news. So it's something failure, something kind of like some bad performance in the buildings or something. So kind of like I think that's the reputation. What we need to kind of like we need to see in the that how we can improve and do better. And it's of course, I mean, we have kind of like 10 of the projects are performing well, but then there is one which is not performing well. So that is what goes to news then, of course, not those ones which are performing well. So that's also kind of like part of the picture. But I mean, also we need to see that the sustainability, the younger people, they see the sustainability is really important for them. And it's actually our field where we are really, I mean, we are building the future. So we kind of like try to give them the picture that, well, I mean, this is if you want to change the world and if you want to improve the sustainability. So this is really the field where you should work. And that's that message we try to pass already in the high school level people and even in the younger people that, well, I mean, these are the possibilities. And also that we are using quite a lot artificial intelligence already in the construction sector. We are using digital tools and all that. So it's not only kind of like sustainability, but we are using really advanced tools and improving all the tools all the time. So it's really kind of like many ways what you can do in the when you want to go to construction sector.
Well, that combination of messages, Miimu, sounds very, very powerful. So I'm sure that when it's put across well, that should be successful. I certainly hope so. It would be with all the other factors that you seem to have aligned in Finland. It would be a great shame if not enough people, you know, saw the opportunities and the value of a career in this space. It strikes me we're recording this chat as we get towards the end of the third wave, I think, of lockdown and problems associated with the global pandemic. So it's what is it? It's May 2021 now. What have you seen any? Obviously you've seen some impacts from the COVID-19 virus, but can you see where the impacts will sustain and what's changed that's likely, or perhaps what ought to change, but we don't yet have the knowledge to make it happen. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the future effects of the future impact of the global pandemic on the sector in Finland.
Yeah, I think it's actually, I mean, it has been fascinating to see that how easily actually the transformation that you cannot meet people. So how easily we could transform that. Well, we are using the Zoom and Teams and all other types of communication. So it has been actually construction sector in Finland hasn't been affected from the COVID that much. We have been continuing constructing and designing as before. And also it has been really, of course, in the construction site, so you need people there. But it has been also really kind of like nice to see that people are responsible of course there has been some sites where there have been COVID, but kind of like most of the sites, so they have been really responsible and following the rules, and there hasn't been that much kind of like COVID and really like really that you need to shut down or for the longer period to shut down the construction site. So that's what I think that we have learned to also that how we are working in different situations and different restrictions. So that I think that has made us stronger in a way.
Yes. Well, that's a very positive message. Is there an impact on what you think we'll need to build in future? Does it change the types of buildings or the details of the design of the layout of buildings?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we have seen that it's even more important. I mean, we have been discussing quite a lot about industrial construction and how we are using prefabricated solutions. So this has also kind of like giving a boost for that also, that how we are actually improving the quality, improving the kind of like that, how quickly we can build, but in a quality, in a good quality and all that. So really the lean construction principles. So I think that has been even kind of like becoming more and more important when we have the COVID, because I mean we don't want to have anything kind of like extra duties in the right. Sites. So I think that's kind of like one of the learnings.
So I know some of the world's leading experts in lean construction are Finnish. Over my career, I've met one or two of them. How widespread is the application of lean construction in the day-to-day industry?
Yeah, we are. I mean, I think everyone is learning, and it's kind of like it's ongoing learning all the time. But it's going there, and we have very good examples, and also like that we have the attitudes is also that it's not only kind of like the process and kind of like the technical part, but it's also leading part, that we really need to lead the team in the construction site, not kind of like that each company has their own tasks, but it's really that mixture of the companies who are making the building. So it's all kind of like leading principle, that leading is also important. So I think that's also becoming more and more important.
And do RIL's members as engineers, perhaps more associated with the design process, how much is it recognized that the challenge is to integrate design and construction, and that, as you say, the project leadership, not just leadership of the design phase?
Yes, exactly. That's becoming more and more important, really, the cooperation and leading the whole thing. And also that in the design phase, you are really thinking at how that can be installed. That is the design kind of like detailed enough that it's for fit for the purpose in the construction side as well. So that's also part of it. And also that getting the feedback from the construction side as well. I mean, this we could improve in that way, and that's kind of like continuous discussion and improvement.
The feedback loop then. So, to what extent do you think the sector is good at understanding how the buildings that it produces, so the design and construction phase, once we're into operation and maintenance and the management of the facility, how good are we at learning about how well facilities work and feeding that back into future design processes?
Yeah, we are learning that. And it's also kind of like that we need to also understand that people are changing and their preferences are also changing in the time. So it also gives us the kind of like great challenge that how we are thinking already in the design phase, that we can change the layout in the building in an easiest way, or the functionality in the building, that we can really change that over the years. So that feedback loop, I think it's never ready, but I mean, it's really important that we keep going and keep learning and keep understanding that how people are actually using the buildings in order to design it in even better way.
Miimu, it's been fantastic talking to you about climate change and RIL. Before we finish, I'd just like to talk a little bit more about your involvement with CIB. You mentioned how you saw the value. How did you get originally involved in CIB? Did you work? I know you were at VTT, and so I guess were you working with people who were already involved with it, and that way you got to learn about what they were doing?
Yes, exactly. That was the way, and also my boss was kind of encouraging me that, well, I mean, CIB is really good network, so you should join the CIB and join the network, kind of like working groups. And so it was really what I thought, that it was kind of like that everyone was encouraging that join CIB. So
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And would you say that helped your work? It helped your career develop?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. A lot. I think I learned a lot of new contacts and new perspectives, and I'm still kind of like one of the earliest contacts. So I'm still kind of like we are doing things together, working things together. So it's really kind of like lifelong contacts also. So it's really nice to that. I really strongly encourage. And also what I think is in CIB, it's really nice that CIB is all the time kind of like improving and inventing new things. For example, what we are doing now together with you is the hackathon. That
Yes.
we are completely starting new things which we didn't have before, but now we are doing that hackathon together. So really one way to do, again, kind of like attract new young people, attract new innovations and talents. So I think that's fascinating in CIB, that you can always do something new.
Well, I must give the opportunity to say a little bit more about the hackathon. So I was involved with you last year, and I know we're obviously it's an annual activity, so we'll be repeating the process in November. But let's sell it to our viewers then. Why it's important, why they need to know more.
Yeah. So our aim in the hackathon is that the companies are giving us the challenges that, well, I mean, we have this challenge, we don't have the solution for this, but I mean, this is what our clients are asking for us, and when we need to have a solution. And then we kind of like publish these solutions together with CIB. And then and that's what's fascinating in CIB, that we get the solutions and the answers from different hackathon themes all over the world. And it was actually wonderful in the last year that we have people in the hackathon themes from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, from USA, from South America, all countries, and also that the people were working, that the Europeans were working, and then they passed the solutions to the US people, and then they were continuing during when in the Europe it was night, and then the European team put. So it was really effective, and we get so wonderful answers. And actually after the competition, so the companies have been telling us that this was so wonderful, and we are kind of like they negotiated with the hackathon themes, and they got on for a real product. So it was really kind of like win-win situations for the hackathon teams and for the companies. So I think that was really success story, and that's why it's really important that we get that's a kind of like ongoing yearly event.
That's very well sold. Thank you. That's fantastic. Give us an example of one of the challenges, perhaps the winning team. What was their area?
Yeah, so the winning team was about that the construction site management. So really about that how you can manage that you have the tools and the equipment in the right places when they are needed. And the solution was that they were using the drone and a software which was kind of like seeing and with the images that it could recognize that, well, this is the tool, and it also gives the kind of like the idea that, well, this tool is not in the right place, and kind of like, well, alarm, you should move that and there. So kind of like the construction site logistic was improved a lot. So that was the winning. So really practical, good and ready solution.
Very excellent. Well, I certainly look forward to working with you and the teams this year. Next year, just to finish on CIB, next year, we all hope that we'll be able to start traveling again. And as you know, we've got the CIB World Building Congress due to be held, which is a very large conference, but the world's biggest conference of research and innovation, people in our sector. It's due to be held in Melbourne in late June. So setting aside for a minute what the effect of the pandemic will be, and let's assume that people are able to to travel if they want to. What would you say to people who are wondering whether they should attend? Why should they come all the way to Melbourne, spend a lot of money on flights, and take a week out of their working life to come to the World Building Congress in Melbourne?
I think it's the World Building Congress is really kind of like, it's really nice shot of the whole construction sector. So if you are interested about the design, or if you are interested about the buildings, so you get the best experts in the world who are showing their results. You get the kind of like the possibility to discuss with those people, exchange your opinions. Or if you are interested about the sustainable solutions, or sustainable construction sites, or something. So you get the experts in there, and you get the newest solutions, newest highlights. So that's what I think it's really, there is no other conferences where you get the glimpse of everything kind of like in what is in the field and what is kind of like important. So I think that's really nice. And also that the atmosphere in CIB conferences is always so friendly. Everyone is discussing, everyone is happy, and kind of like you get to know people so easily. So that's what I think it's in CIB also really nice, that it's kind of like a big family. That and it's also that you have really the big stars there, but you have also the students there. So that's also a nice mixture, that you get to know the different kind of like new innovations. Even in the lunch breaks, you get kind of like those conversations where you get inspiration that, well, I never thought about that. And that's what I think it's fascinating. And that's why I'm always traveling to CIP conferences, because that's so unique.
It's a wonderful advertisement, Miimu. Thank you very much indeed. And it's easy. I should say for our viewers that you didn't know what questions I was going to be raising with you today. So you speak so eloquently without any notice at all of the subject areas. So the RAL is well led, and the Finnish sector, I think, is in good hands with your leadership. I have one final question for you, which is, we like to finish by asking all our guests for what we call your top opportunity. And it's the top opportunity. What do you think in your field of expertise, and bearing in mind what we've been discussing, what's the top opportunity or challenge that politicians and policymakers around the world, not just in Finland, what they need to be focusing on?
I think it's really the zero carbon solutions. We cannot afford to make the buildings and make our energy system for zero carbon. So I think, and that includes the materials and also the designing the systems inside it. So it's really that we cannot afford to make that challenge. And it's an investment, but it's an investment for the future. So we cannot afford to do it.
And associations like yours, you seem to be very successful. It doesn't happen by accident, does it? That your government is aligned, your public opinion is aligned. How hard does RAL work to make sure that those messages and that the knowledge that you think the politicians need, gets across to those people in a form they can digest and make sense of and make political decisions around?
Yeah, it's sometimes hard, and for example, always when you don't have enough money, so you need to cut the money down, and we try to kind of like convince them that don't cut the money what is for the research and innovation, because that's the foundation for the future, and that's the foundation for kind of like, especially in those countries where we are not rich on resources, kind of like natural resources, but you have only the people. So that's why you need to have the research and innovation. Otherwise, there is no future. So don't cut the money for research and innovation.
It's a very powerful message to finish with, Miimu. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and effort in supporting CIB as a board member. I'm quite sure that the members of RAL fully appreciate your time and effort and the inspiration and the leadership that you provide for them. And I'm certain that our audience will have enjoyed hearing from you as well. So thank you for joining us today. To our audience, for any more information on this event or on Miimu's work or on details of all our other work, please see the website. If you're interested in World Building Congress 2022, how could you miss it after how Miimu described the benefits? Then just see the website, as you can see on the screen behind me here. We always welcome feedback on this event and ideas for future guests that you'd like to hear from. So please contact me or any of my team at any time. For now, that's it from this edition of CIB in Conversation. I'm Don Ward, Miimu Airaksinen, and thank you very much indeed for joining us today. And it's goodbye from CIB now until the next episode. Goodbye.